Imagine not being Leeds, not feeling this pain, not dancing through thunder, not walking through rain. Imagine not rising with fists in the air when the world turned its back and no one would care. We've lived in the ashes, we've drowned in defeat, but still we stand proud on our battered old feet. Imagine not loving with all that you are. Imagine not being Leeds.
We love you, Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.
What on earth is going on? Wow. Just come off from doing a video. As I'm walking back upstairs, David Ornstein announces that Leeds have just put a third offer in for Sean Longstaff. Wow. It seems to be all happening tonight. It seems to always be happening at night. Yeah, absolutely buzzing if this is a signing that Leeds can get done. It's one that I've said from pretty much the end of last season when it first came out. Sean Longstaff was a doable signing for Leeds United, someone they were looking at. Again, you don't know how loose these links are, you don't know how accurate they are, but it's one that's sort of quietly rumbled on throughout this off-season, and it looks like Leeds are well in for him. So obviously, the old saying, there's no smoke without fire. We've been loosely linked with him. This is now our third bid we've lodged for Sean Longstaff. So that goes to show that the murmurs were right, because we've had two previous bids turned down. Does that make this a gettable player? The fact that they've turned two offers down, does it mean they're just going to say no again? Because what I'll say is, with this offer, if this is Leeds' third offer, where did the chuffing start? Because it's not exactly a big fee. So let's look at the article anyway. Well, the tweet that's come out from David Ornstein. So, exclusive, Leeds pushing to sign Sean Longstaff from Newcastle United. Third offer of 10 million plus £2 million, yet to receive reply, but close to the limit before Leeds United pursue other targets. Personal terms in place, 27-year-old Newcastle FC to earn would rather earn than go for free next summer. So, and that's from The Athletic, which is obviously very, very credible. So what's this tell us? That Leeds obviously have put a very low fee in for the first two bids, because I think 10 million up front, 2 million add-ons, I assume, is ridiculous business if we can get Longstaff for that. I haven't heard of many others rumoured to be after him. To be honest, I may be wrong with that, but if it's 12 million quid, I would imagine he would have other suitors, because he's a Premier League player. We've spoke about, as a fan base, we need Premier League proven players. Yet I hear a lot of people fob Sean Longstaff off like he's not a Premier League experienced quality addition for the newly promoted side, which for me ticks every box you'd want and need as a newly promoted side. This is a lad that's, been part of that upward trajectory of Newcastle United. Joe Linton, Guimaraes, Tonali has found himself now in a position where they've outgrown him. He's a local lad at Newcastle. He's done really well to amass the amount of appearances. I'll have a look at his stats in a minute. And now it's time for him to move on to get more football. And he's 27 years of age, a wealth of experience, a box-to-box 8, a player we sort of wanted, someone who can pick up the ball and drive with it, similar to what Rothwell did, but I would say at a higher level. A better quality player, played at a higher level than Rothwell. This would be an absolute snip of a signing. That the price, if we can get him for, like I said, 10 million up front, is an absolute steal. It goes to show Leeds have the finger on the pulse. It shows that looking at the right players. We've obviously just done a video about Goodmanson signing and looking at Anton Stack. We've made inquiries about him and actually made contact for Stack. The fact we put this third bid for Longstaff shows us intent. We want him. We want him. Is someone we want and we need. So I'm sort of looking at this now that we're all in for Stack. We're all in for Longstaff. For me, I think, and I've heard, we're in for both of them. Leeds want both. It's not one or another. It says on here, obviously, we're close to the limit now, as in I would say the money and the time limit. If they turn this one down, I don't think there'll be a fourth bid going in. So I knew Newcastle going to risk keeping him for another year. I think I heard a few weeks back that Eddie Howe said he'd be happy to keep him for another year. and take it from there. Maybe that position's changed reading that. They want the best offer for him, though, that's for sure. But if Leeds can get Stack and Sean Longstaff, I think that's Gruev out the door for me. I think there's no way we need 5 midfielders in there. And I've always sort of looked at it and thought Gruev would be the one to go. Obviously, Rothwell not re-signed him. Got to Rangers, fair play to him. Good luck to him. I think he'll do well in Scotland. That obviously just leaves Tanaka, Ampadu, and Gruev. And as much as I'm a big Gruev fan, at Championship level, I think he's top draw. At Premier League level, I don't think he's combative enough. I don't think he moves well enough across the pitch. I don't think he's physical enough. I think he's a very tidy player when we're in possession. In the Championship, having much of the ball. In the Premier League, it's not going to be. These games aren't going to play out that way. I think he'll struggle with the physicality of the Premier League. Someone like Longstaff, box to box, massive engine on him. Can play 90 minutes, no problem. And like I say, that the level he's played at is above where Leeds United are right now. You know, he's played in the Champions League. It's above where we are currently. So we are getting a top operator in that midfield for a snip in terms of valuation there. You know, you're looking at Sunderland's taking a gamble on someone like Diarra. Big fee, huge fee. You know, 30 million quid on a 21-year-old who's only ever played in France. If we can then go get a Sean Longstaff for for 10 million quid, people will, you know, it's not an exotic name. People will always sort of look at that. If it were called Longstaffinho, it might be a little bit different. But when you break it down and look at the fundamentals of the game, this guy's got it and done it in the Premier League. So it's a dead cert. It'll work. It's a dead cert. And if he signs say he signs a 4 or 5 year deal, who knows what'll come if we do sign him. Maybe in 2 years we'll outgrow Sean Longstaff again. Let's hope we do. But I think to keep us up and then establish us for a couple of years, Sean Longstaff ticks every box you want. And if we can bring in Anton Stack too from Hoffenheim, what a midfield we've got. Because we're already excited about we're already excited about seeing Tanaka play in Premier League. Question marks against Ampadu, granted. But if you can bring Stack and Longstaff in, that midfield for great depth, it gives you the option to play midfield free. Sean Longstaff would be fantastic in a free. We've seen it with Newcastle, they play free. This is an exciting one for me. And I know it might not be exciting again for others, but at least he is a household name. Like I said in my last video, Sean Longstaff is a household name. You do know who he is. You know, I don't think there'll be many people who watch football who don't know who Sean Longstaff is. You will have watched him. You'll listen him play for Newcastle at the top level, Champions League football, and many good seasons for the last 2 or 3 years. Newcastle have been pushing up that table, and he's been part of that. Can he be part of that Leeds United? So let's have a little look. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Can you look here? Sean David Longstaff, Newcastle lad, played for his hometown club now. Fair play, I'm doing really well. Joined in 2019. It expires in 2026. Only got 1 year left in his contract. Central midfielder, can play DM, but he's notoriously just a CM, just a central midfielder. Box to box. Like I say, the engine on him, the work he gets through, he can do both sides of the game, get forward and get back. Current market value is 20 million euros, so probably around the 17 million pound mark. So if we can get him for 10, rising to 12, can't go wrong. He's got a brother called Matty Longstaff, who now plays at Toronto. I remember him too. Not quite as good as Sean, didn't quite make the grade at Newcastle. But you look at your career stats in the Premier League, he's made 171 appearances. How many players can you get who's played 171 Premier League games, still only 27 years of age, and you can get for 10 million quid, who's played in Champions League and played at the top end of Premier League? I think it's quite laughable if you don't think this is a decent signing. Now, if we were spending 20 million quid on him, I can maybe have that argument with you and say, yeah, fair enough. I sort of see where you're coming from. But for 10 million quid, this would be the best piece of business we've done currently if we get this guy. And I love the Yakabiol. I like the Goodmanson. I would love Stack. But if we can get Sean Longstaff for 10 million quid, this is by far the best signing we've made and potentially will make all summer, which some of you may laugh at. But for 10 million quid, I still claim that Sam Byram as a free transfer is one of his better signings in the last 2 seasons because of what we got for the value. So this would be one of them signings where, for the value, when you add it, as a collective, when you dissect the deal and look at the money and look at what you're getting for the money and the age of him, he's now just entering his prime. Great. absolute great piece of business if we can get him for that money. 171 games. What I will say, he needs to add more goals than assists to him. 10 goals, 9 assists. So only 19 G&A and 171 appearances in the Premier League. Not great in terms of numbers, but he's much more than that. He's not a numbers sort of guy. You want him to come in there, edge area, and be that ball crashing, that box crashing 8, get you those goals, which he's capable of. He's got a shot on him. But he just offers so much variety in that midfield. He's such an underrated player, and every team has these. Every team has these players that are just a vital cog in the engine, and they just go about the business. And he's one of them. But he does it, he does it with grit. He does it with energy. He's very physical. He's another 6-foot+ player who'll be in that side. It's a no-brainer if you're looking at him coming in with Stack, and I would see that as the end for Gruev. We'll see there's been no murmurs of Gruev going out, but I do see him as one of them. We can potentially even get that money back. What we're paying for Longstaff on Gruev, I'd expect Gruev to go for 10, 12 million quid. Now, with a Premier League side, I think there'll be people pay that. I'm sure Dortmund were looking at him only over a year ago. So if we can maybe, get Longstaff in and flip Gruev for the same money, again, smart business by 49ers. People writing them off, and they'll still write them off with deals like this. This would be a top signing. Don't care what anybody else says. Let your Sunderlands have your Diarras and all this. This is proven quality in the Premier League. Proven. I say 5 games in Champions League, 1 goal in Champions League. Who have we got in a side that's done that? Who have we got that's got these numbers? When you look at Leeds United, going up, great talent. We've got players that have played in Premier League before, granted. But who's done them numbers? Not many. None of them. Champions League, Dan James has played a bit in Champions League, I'm sure, but no one's played that sort of game time in Prem. They haven't done it, so it's yeah, not working. Injury history. Let's have a quick look at his injury history. So he does have, on average, by the looks of it, a month for the last 4 seasons. He's had a month out every season. Missed 5, 6, 2. Yeah, so he's missing about 5 or 6 games a season. On average, which isn't great, but I also don't think it's anything that would scupper a deal for anybody, not only Leeds. It's not massive. He had a really big injury there, knee injury in 18, 19. He's long over that, but yeah, he's had a couple of ankle injuries, hamstring, outer ligament problems, but they have only been 5 or 6 games, just about a month in terms of time missed. Like I say, it's not ideal, but if we can bring a Stack in, you've still got your Ampadu, you've still got Tanaka. There's not saying he'll pick up an injury, but just that's the only sort of downside to it. You may lose him for a month, but in terms of everything else I'm looking at, honestly, it just makes sense. It really just does make sense, and I'd be absolutely over the moon for this signing to come in. I really would be. So he's not got nowhere near as many goals as I sort of think he should have for the kind of player he is. He should have a lot more goals than this. To see him score against Paris Saint-Germain in Champions League. Again, how many players have we got that's done that? So yeah, he needs more goals. Yeah, I mean, 1 goal that season, 2 that season. 5 or 6 that season. He isn't known for his goal scoring and his assist making, but he's got that in the locker. But it's just his engine. You need players like Sean Longstaff when you're a newly promoted side. These are the kind of players you need. And again, the depth, it would just be insane. My only worry about Sean Longstaff is I fear he will want first team football, because that's why I believe in Newcastle, let's be fair. Why if he sat on Newcastle's bench but still getting minutes, he still played 23 games last season, I think it was. Why would you come to Leeds United to probably play less minutes if you can't break past the Tanaka and Ampadu and maybe a Stack? Because we know there's a potential under Daniel Farke if you're not in his lineup not to get many minutes off that bench. Would he get 23 performances off the bench at Leeds? Possibly not. So my worry is we won't guarantee game time. The bids, apparently personal terms are a problem. They're sorted. It's just getting Newcastle to agree to bid. But will he come to Leeds United and battle for his spot? I believe he will. My only worry is looking at that. If we're in for Stack 2, that's a very competitive for, a little bit like we've got a Newcastle, but just way lower in quality. But it's not a given you're going to play. But I love that, and I think he'll thrive. I think he'll thrive at that under the the pressure of the shirt of Leeds United, under the pressure of not being guaranteed that shirt, because they're before absolutely outstanding players for our level, all vying for 2 shirts, potentially 3 shirts, which is really exciting me going into pre-season training now, that our Leeds going to be looking at playing a midfield 3, and we still haven't brought a 10 in. Kind of Metcha play that role, maybe? Are we going to bring in a Hamer, a Buendia? Who knows? Is someone else we've never heard of? Are we going to bring a flamboyant 10 in? I'm not too sure. Are we going to look at dropping that and playing with, like an advanced 8 in a 3? Because I think if we get Stack and we get Longstaff, wow. For a newly promoted team, that midfield is outstanding. So this is one that does definitely excite me. The fact that I've heard people call him meat and potatoes and all this. I just think it's down to his name. People call him a steady Eddie. I look at Gruev like that. I think Longstaff's way better than that. Way better. Like I say, every team has a player that just gets through hard work. Is a little bit underrated, but the teammates speak highly of certain players, and Longstaff's this. I've seen Eddie Howe as well speak really highly of him. I've seen an interview with Joe Linton speak really highly of Sean Longstaff because of the work he does that allows others to sort of go and express himself just by the work he gets through. He'll go back and he'll do dirty work. He can go forward and be a threat. And he does like a shot from outside the box. He's like I say, his goals, and he should be probably have a few more tallied up there than he has. But like I say, the engine on him's phenomenal. And yeah, if you're looking at some of the players that have signed for similar clubs to Leeds, Diarra, Sunderland, and others, for the value, I think this one would be the better option, if I'm honest. And I wanted Longstaff since we first got rumoured with him, months ago. So this is music to my ears. Ornstein has announced this through the Athletic tonight. That is our 3rd bid. So that shows we are eager for Sean Longstaff. So let me know in the comment section what you think. If you think he's going to be a good signing, let's hope it's one we can get off that line, and let's hope we can go get Anton Stack too. Let's go get them both. Sod it. Let's take the league by storm. Leeds are finally doing bits. All that, the moans and groans by sections of fan base, I understand it. You want more? Well, you're getting more. You're getting more. Here we fucking go. Come on, Leeds. Take care, everyone. See you later.